Hello class, this is for online only students. This is Studio 2 and 3 for the Time and Hopewell project. And your goals for today, you are going to begin the embroidery. And this is not finished in a day, so you are going to continue with it until you are back in studio on Studio 3 day. It should be finished on Studio 3. This means that you will have to work on it on the days between the two. So your materials for this is your embroidery floss, your needle, and the felt with the design drawn on it. So a little thing about embroidery floss, this is cotton floss that you're using. Floss is a 6-stranded thread. And how you're going to start, you're going to cut your length of floss, and it should be about the length from the tip of your finger to your elbow. Separate it into 2 bundles of 3, and then use one of those bundles to thread the needle and put a knot at the end. So here you can see the floss and see it separated into 6 and then a cluster of 3. Here I'm just basically repeating myself again. We are doing embroidery, which is drawing with the thread. So again, start with cutting your length of thread, fingertip to elbow, separate it into your 2 sections of 3 strands each, like I've done here in the photo. Here's one section, here's the other section, and you're going to use one section of these at a time. So the very first thing you do, you're going to thread your needle. You're using one of the 3-strand bundles to do this. You're going to tie a knot at the end of the thread opposite the needle. Do not tie a knot by the needle. It won't go through the fabric. So you have your thread. Here's the knot at one end. And we travel around. It goes through the needle up here, and then you just have a loose end of the thread. You do not knot this other end, okay? And you're not doubling the thread. You have one knot at this end, no knots by the needle. So you're going to start in the middle of your design and work your way out. We do this because as you handle the design and sew on it, it will stretch a little bit. So this keeps it from warping. So what you do is just like when you sewed the pillows in Crafts 1, you push the needle through the felt from the back of the design. You can see the needle's coming up here and I'm grabbing it. And then you make your first short stitch going straight back down, just like I'm showing you here. So I brought the thread up and now I'm putting the needle back down. It's a little tiny stitch. Don't make big stitches, make little tiny stitches. This is like maybe a 1/4 inch. And here is a close-up. You can see it's just a straight stitch. Now the next thing you're going to do, you're going to push the needle back up from the back of the fabric, and you're going to go this time through the middle of the stitch that you just made. So over here, that's the stitch I just made, and the needle's coming up through the fabric through the middle of that stitch. I linked a video that will demonstrate this. It's a very good video, and that might be a little easier to understand than the still pictures. After you come up through the middle of that stitch, you're going straight back down, creating another small stitch. And you keep doing that. So every time you go down, when you come back up, you're coming back up through your thread, splitting your thread, and straight back down again. And so you continue doing this, just following the lines that you drew on your felt. You can see here I have the middle part finished with lines of split stitch. You can change the colors between the 3 colors that I gave you. If you have 3 colors, if you only have 1 or 2 colors, just use whatever it is that you got. Or you can choose to keep it all one color. I'm probably going to do mine, I think, in all brown. If you have dark areas in, like in my original design, this area between the cross arms is dark. I can either leave it plain and not sewn over, not made dark. That's a choice. It depends on how fast I work, or if I'm moving quickly along, I can sew that in and make it dark. So embroidery takes time. It's easy to embroider on felt, but it does take time. Once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty quickly. So you're going to work on it throughout the week, and it should be finished by the end of Studio 3. And the whole thing will be put together and completed during Studio 4. So what you're turning in for this today is I want you to get started with the embroidery and do at least an inch or so of it so that I can check it and make sure that you're doing it correctly. And then remember, you have got a week to finish it. All right? And if you need help, let me know.